no matter what gets thrown to me, I'll be okay. The best time to find a job is when you don't need one. I'm trying to think, how do I say this nicely?
I'm actually the most important person of the process, not the professor. It's me.
Like, thank God nobody gave me money to build that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dasha, CEO and founder of Connected. We're helping students to get into colleges abroad with scholarships and friends. And I welcome you at our new episode with our amazing guest on our podcast From Here to There, where we share amazing stories of people who studied abroad and see how their life turned out to be and how this amazing experience impacted their life. And I'm super excited to welcome our today episode guest, Arjita. She's an amazing female professional, founder, investor living in Silicon Valley who studied abroad, is doing business, and is also helping other immigrant founders to start their companies as well. Arjita, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very excited to be here, Dasha, from one immigrant founder to another. There's so much that we can talk about, so I'm so glad.
Yeah, as usual, there's like no almost like no prep upfront. The way we usually do this. So, but I feel like it's much more honest and like authentic when it goes this way. I know that you studied abroad. You studied like few was just like abroad when you studied in Hult Business School. That's where we met like our mutual friend Nat, who's right now one of business partners for my project. Why have you decided to get an international degree at that time? What was your like thought process and your why? Why you decided to go for this program?
Right. So, actually, Hult was not my first abroad degree. I moved to London in 2020, 2012, I think, where I went to London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts and studied theater and Shakespeare. It was a diploma course, not a full-time course, but I just wanted to go out and get an experience of what is there out there. I was the first woman in my family to go solo outside by myself, and that for an acting course and theater course. It was wild, but it was so good, and it was such a confidence building exercise for me. When I came back to India, I was like, I really need to go out again. This is a phenomenal opportunity. The diversity that I met, the number of people that I met, it was just another level. So I was an entrepreneur. I was building a company in India. I wanted to build a company in Silicon Valley. So for me, it was like, okay, what is this one place to study entrepreneurship in Silicon Valley? And that would give me a scholarship so that I could build a company in Silicon Valley. And it was Hult because Hult is the only business school in San Francisco that teaches entrepreneurship. They have a master's in that. And I was like, yeah, that's it. So that was a choice. And I made that choice and I came here.
Yeah, that's so inspiring. And you mentioned that one of the like major, I mean, of course, like studying abroad and every education always, like the combination of like hard skills that you develop sometimes like part of the soft skills, huge shift in mentality. Because I mean, I know myself on my own example because I was studying in from Russia to Spain to China to Singapore and then to States. It's just like cultural roller coaster, 100%. What was like one of the core, I guess, like switches in terms of like your mindset and mentality outside of confidence that happened to you? Because the reason I'm also curious because we have lots of students from India, and right now we have a growing number of female students from India, and I feel like there's like a huge shift to change, like happening. And I do believe there is so much cultural change and so much, like empowerment from this cultural change that happens. So I was just curious, how was it for you?
I think the first thing that happens, and especially I think women in India are not allowed to fail. And when I came here, failure was like an opportunity. In fact, founders and people would wear it as a badge of honor. I tried, I failed 4 times, and now I'm pivoting. It was like a very casual, oh my God, I'm too cool kind of a thing. If I would say that, they would be like, oh my God, this person is hopeless. They don't know what they're doing. So that just gave me such a relief. Like, there was no pressure to be the best anymore, there was no pressure to be perfect. Um, the second thing I realized the value of your own work. In India, at least, I felt every time I had to go ahead and memorize and regurgitate most of my education. However, when I came here, it was, what have you learned? What is your original work? That was very fascinating. Like they wanted to hear what I think instead of me memorizing a definition, writing on a test.
What they think.
So I think those two were like such a big cultural shift. It just gave me that empowerment that I have a voice and I don't have to be right all the time.
Yeah, I know. It's like totally, I can totally relate. I mean, like, we coming from like different countries, but I do feel sometimes that, I mean, like, Russia is somewhere, I guess, like closer to Asia, and we do have some similarities, especially like our society doesn't have opportunity for the mistake. So, like, we always have to be perfect, we always have to be right. It's totally opposite from like US. That's why we have so many startups in Silicon Valley, because failure here is experience. It's
Yeah,
not something, like that ruins your life for like generations to come. And I do agree with the education approach in terms of like I remember back in Russia and also in China, like you're not in charge of your own growth and education. Like they define what are you going to be learning, how are you going to be learning, like in what's like on top of the priority. What was different in Europe and what was different in the US for me. I definitely felt like I'm fully in charge of my own growth and like how I'm gonna do, like use resources and what I'm gonna get from the education.
yeah,
It seems like you had a similar feeling, like that, like, hey, I'm actually the most important person of the process, not the professor. It's me.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's definitely eye opening. What I actually wanted to like dig deeper is how I guess like how it was connected maybe in your case or maybe not necessarily your path as immigrant entrepreneur and an international student, because like for me in my case that's how my entrepreneurship journey started. Like I've been studying abroad, decided to open a company to help others do the same. You are now not only successful entrepreneur yourself, living in Silicon Valley, you invest in the companies, and you also teaching and helping other founders to create a business.
Yeah.
Do you think there's like some impact from your first international experience of studying in UK and maybe like US that actually led you to start your own company?
Absolutely. I think it's interesting because I've been through that same journey, and that's why I help immigrant and unconventional founders, and that's my sweet spot. Because if you're a traditional American, you would have the network, you would have access, you understand the culture. But in this case, I realized that immigrants are very scared, like for their visa. They are very scared. They want to be very careful what steps they take, what they don't. Um, Everything comes down to, oh my God, my visa situation. And I realized that there is actually a lot of leeway to become a founder, to pursue your dreams, which people don't tell you. So I think my own experience of going through that literally helps me help other people say, you don't have to be scared. You can be a founder on F1. That's what I did. I was an F1 visa holder. I was a student and I started my company. That's the reason I came to US. That's plain and simple. I did not come to US because, wow, I wanted to move to America. I wanted to build a tech company in Silicon Valley. So the moment I moved here, I started that. So I think if I wouldn't have been through that journey myself, I wouldn't have been able to help the founders that I am.
100%. Do you think like that, just like the fact that you first, like you moved to UK and then like US, it's kind of like builds your stamina and like psychological and emotional, I feel like in certain way. You learn how like you can do anything. Like it was like my experience and like, hey, I'm brave enough to take more risk because immigration, even through the education, it's a huge risk. It's a huge stress.
Yeah,
It's just like it's really sometimes like life altering experience. And like that actually built something inside me that allowed me to take a risk to start a company. What was like something like in your case similar to this?
very similar actually, because um, my dad was in the army. So even in India, I was moving every couple of years from north, south, east, west. So moving was very, very normal in my life. But then my dad moved to Middle East. So we started moving back and forth between India and Middle East. Then I moved to the UK, UK and India, and then US. So I have built muscle for the tolerance for ambiguity. That's what my dad had taught me. Which is like, no matter what gets thrown to me, I'll be okay. So I think at this point, I'm like, I can handle anything at this point.
And that's essential when you're a founder.
Exactly.
Pandemic, anything, crisis, like no matter what
Exactly.
happens, I'm gonna be okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it's no more a challenge for me, it's an opportunity to either learn something about me or find an opportunity about it. So yeah, I think the resilience, I think it's the book by Nassim Taleb, I'm getting anti-fragile. That's literally what I believe the concept of immigrants becomes. We just become anti-fragile by the end of the process. We go through so much.
Oh my god, I think we actually had like back in Russia, we had some either it was like media channel or it was like book, or it was like something like anti fragility or something. So it's
Wow.
like they actually kind of like reinvented the term of like you being anti fragile because
Mhm.
like that's how I build up, and I totally agree. Okay, so I have like few questions about like entrepreneurship and education.
Yeah.
I have my own maybe not very popular opinion, which is especially maybe confusing since I own a tech startup in education. But do you think, like, if someone wants to become an entrepreneur, do you think they can learn this in college as a college degree? Because, like, sometimes you have like masters in entrepreneurship or like business administration or like anything. It is like if someone wants to be an entrepreneur at the end of the day, do they have to study at the college, or what should they study in the college
Oh my God.
nowadays?
I'm gonna be giving you a very controversial answer for this. I don't know if you're gonna like it, but um, and I'm a professor of entrepreneurship in San Francisco State, so this is gonna be really controversial. But I do not think entrepreneurship can be taught at all. If you want to go to a college and if you want to pursue entrepreneurship, choose a college that has opportunity. For me, I joined Hult not because it was the best education, but it was in downtown San Francisco. It meant I would get access to all the startups around Silicon Valley. So I would say if you need a education, if you want to do a course, don't come for education, basically. Don't come for learning because entrepreneurship looks very different for everyone. You cannot learn it in a year long process and figure it out. But come for the network. Like the professors at Holt were entrepreneurs themselves. They were the first ones who gave me the opportunities for grants and speaking at big conferences, um, access to investors. They became my funders. So that was phenomenal. So I would say choose a university according to that, not for education.
Yeah. Not for education. I would also just like that's kind of like leading to my maybe second and third question in this category. So like I mean you're in Silicon Valley. You're like in the middle of you know like the whole like AI revolution and everything that is happening right now. When you know like was like OpenAI, ChatGPT releasing some you know like news every single week, and I mean like not every week, luckily not yet, and like the whole like jobs and even startups just die you know, like every single week. And in this, like, really, it's like next technological revolution happening right now. What should people choose to study right now if they wanna? I mean, like overall, and yeah, let's start with the overall. Yeah, what do you think they should study right now? And it's
I,
like any point to get like overall education in general. What do you think?
overall education, again, I will go back to the fact that education pretty much is free. On Coursera and YouTube, you can get the skills, the hard skills, frameworks you can learn. You want to go to places that will give you practical experience. You want to be at a place where everything happens. I'll give you an example. Right now, it's the AI revolution in Silicon Valley, but 2 years ago, it was EdTech revolution in Silicon Valley. Because of the pandemic, schools shut down, EdTechs were on a boom. 4 years ago, it was blockchain, and it was happening all in Silicon Valley. 6 years ago, it was AR, VR, all was happening. So choose the place so that no matter what industry you're coming or going, you can be at the heart of beginning or innovation and you can get that opportunity. And I'll tell you, I've enjoyed myself. I'm very excited about AI and I'm very excited about what's going to come the next 2 years, the next 2 years. And that's how I got to invest and take up the best opportunities because I live at a place where the best opportunities come to me. So I don't want to go ahead, like most students want to go ahead and choose the cheapest or the one university that has a lot of stars and good rating and all that. Ultimately, you want a job. Ultimately, you want to start something. So choose what you want to. If you're into finance, maybe go to school. Choose that university. You want to be around those opportunities right at the beginning.
Yeah, totally agree. And talking about the job, I mean, everyone who almost everyone who moves to like a different country, most people would like to try to stay. And that's, I guess, like ultimately sometimes the purpose of the international education is to simplify the immigration process, simplify visa status because it's pain in the ass totally, and to land a job at the end of the day. But so many people struggle and fail to find a job because there's sometimes such a mindset that, hey, once I'm gonna get a degree, employers going to be automatically lining up in front of like my dorm door and offering me job positions, and that does not, it's kind of like like the same was like just like startups. Hey, once I'm out of acceleration program, I don't have to do shit, like investors is just going to be putting money in me,
Yeah.
which is not the case. Which is totally opposite, and it comes as a shock to many people. From your perspective, what people should do? I mean, like, I do believe that, like, once you're in a school, I mean, you breathe out, you walk around the campus, you enjoy one day, and next day you're gonna start thinking about your job and creating network. Um, what do you think from your perspective, as like an immigrant who came through the education?
Yeah.
How to leverage this time in the best way so you could stay in the country and find a job eventually?
Yeah. The best time to find a job is when you don't need one. Like the best time to raise funds for your startup is when you don't need money.
When you don't need one, yeah.
Exactly. And that's when you will get. And I'll tell you, my first job that I got was actually my professor hired me for her nonprofit. And I needed a job to fund my startup at that time. And I took that job. But I wasn't looking for the job. She and I basically bonded so well together. She loved my passion. And she said, Hey, I'll hire you. And I was like, huh? I did not even have a resume or a good LinkedIn or anything. But I did not have to think about, oh my God, my OPT will start. I have to interview. I need 10 jobs lined up. At the end of the a day, you need one job that is going to pay your bills. So start looking for the job first day of your university. Network with people, talk to people, get to know what's happening because you find a job when you don't need one.
And yeah, it's the best way for the first days to be in a position and to create a situation when you don't need one.
Exactly.
When you have so many resources and a network.
Exactly.
And networking, it's a huge cultural aspect as well. There is a very special art of building relationship, especially in the way Americans do. Like the whole heart of the small talk, which is, I'm sure, invention of extroverts, just to torture introverts.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And I do know, like, once, especially when you don't come from like US, you like in different culture, like you're like shy naturally, and then in the US it's all about networking, it's all about small talks. Do you remember how you've been overcoming this? Like, just like imagine going to the first networking event and not having a panic attack, ideally, from like all the
Oh my God.
socializing in
Oh
a
my
very
God.
sometimes proactive and intense way. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, like it's wild because again, as a woman in India, you're generally told don't talk to strangers. And here it was basically going to a room of strangers and make friends. It's just anti my upbringing. Like, how do I how do I overcome that? And I'm an introvert, like severely introverted person. So the first few networking events that I went to, I would just stand in the corner and I would hope somebody would come and talk to me, and I don't put in any effort. And then I realized that that's not going to make any. So I was like, all right, I am just going to fake it till I make it. I'm going to pretend as if I'm the most extroverted person ever in the world, and I'm going to try and talk to everyone. So I start giving myself the goal. Okay, I'm going to this networking event. Can I know the name of every person in this room and get them added to my LinkedIn? And I started gamifying it for myself. And that became really good. I used to be generally the first person at a networking event and the last person to leave. And what that led to, honestly, Darshan, is 2014 is when I moved to SF. 2015, I gave a TEDx talk next to Elon Musk's wife in San Francisco. And that was huge. I was still in college. I was barely done with my master's degree, and I gave a TEDx talk. And it was an audition that they had selected me. But that's what networking. It is unbelievable the opportunities networking opens up. People recommend you. They talk about you when you're not in the room if you've spoken to them and build those relationships. So you don't have to go ahead and burn yourself out at every event, but you have to be strategic. Where are you going to invest your time? And then just embrace this persona of super confident person and go out there and gamify. Can I know the names of 5 people? Can I know the names of 20 people? And it was a game changer. So even today, I don't think I have ever looked for a job or I've ever looked for an opportunity. They've just come my way. It's because of the networking effort that I put
Oh my God, yeah, that's so amazing. I do believe that like once you in the country, even though if you're not yet sure, do you want to stay here? You know, like how life is going to turn out to be, like people and relationship you build along the way are your biggest assets, like always. So like that's like the social capital in the world that is changing so fast. That is like the most important capital, like your skill set, and sometimes feel like your mental health, especially because like being resilient, anti-fragile, flexible, you know, like in all of this and open-minded, and definitely building a social capital. Okay, I have a couple more questions. So um I know, you know, we both know that the founder journey could be very rewarding, you know, like, and I don't know, like TechCrunch articles, Forbes 10 under 30, how it was like for me, for the Russian one. But there's like so many struggles. It is not a path for everyone. And especially when you're like an immigrant, launching a company in a different country, it's like you have nothing to lean on, not your financing, not your visa status, you know, like not something happening in the company. Everything is just like question mark. Who do you think should not start a company as like an immigrant talent, international talent?
it. Oh my God. Oh, I'm trying to think, how do I say this nicely?
You should not. Trust me, we have different guests. They don't do nicely. Let's be honest.
If you're somebody who likes to have a plan, if you're somebody likes to have a 3 year plan, 5 year plan, bucket list, task list, don't pursue entrepreneurship. And I'm not talking about a tech startup. I'm talking about even being a small business, even starting an agency or something. If you like to have a plan, entrepreneurship is not for you because it's not going to go according to the plan. If you're not good at taking failure, don't be an entrepreneur. You are going to fail a million times. So if you really need financial security as a first thing, take care of that first and then become an entrepreneur. Take care of psychological security, build a community first, then become an entrepreneur. You have to be a mad person to be an entrepreneur. You have to be completely unhinged. You have to be shameless and asking for help. Like, it is a lot of red flags in your personality and you want to be an entrepreneur, but if you like systems, if you want security, entrepreneurship is not the way to go. So, and I don't think everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. It's not something that you can have.
100%.
Eventually, don't take the first step as an entrepreneur, but know that if you are
Yeah.
someone
And
but doesn't like that, who likes that chaos, who's okay with failure, then this is the country to be an entrepreneur. They celebrate you. They will support you, even if you're an outsider. So either way, you've got an option.
yeah. And I like how you highlighted the psychological security. And I do believe that even if you're like just naturally psychologically resilient, like you have a very strong nervous system, you take care of yourself, the amount of like stress that entrepreneurship brings is a lot. And I know from like my own experience, my first company, Study Free, we've been doing it for like 4 years, and then like massive growth. First time manager, we've reached 156 people, employees as a solo
Amazing.
founder, solo female, first time immigrant founder. I took them all
Amazing.
at that time, and then huge crisis, like 5 million of investments first time, and then something else. So like that unexpected level of responsibility and like the level of things you have to solve, and especially if the business grows fast, it's sometimes can break people. Like you cannot sometimes grow as fast as you can psychologically, and like emotional and mentally, just to be able to handle the stress. So like had to go through like year of crisis and then like year of recovery, and right now I look back and I was like, oh my god, I became like so much more mature. Right now I do believe that I can do like $1 billion company, but previously I was so naive, maybe delusional. I still believe that I could do this, but like looking back, I was like, you're not ready. Like, no.
Yep.
You have to go through up and downs and few downs,
Yep.
and come back as a phoenix to be able to do
Yep.
this.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember the
Totally.
first time when I pitched to an investor, the first 100 rejections, I was so mad, Dasha, that they did not invest in me. But now when I look back at those pitch decks, I'm like, thank God nobody gave me money to build that. Oh my God, that was terrible idea. How could anybody give me money? But you have to be not just psychologically secure, you have to grow as a leader constantly. Generally, if you're in a job, at the most, you need to know skills to manage your team and the hard skills. As an entrepreneur, you need to know everything, everything, because everybody is leaning on you. And if you don't grow mentally, emotionally, physically, and in a leadership way, as your company grows, it's going to be hard.
The last question is, who should not study abroad? Because yeah, I mean, it's an amazing opportunity, especially when you get a scholarship. But let's be honest, like it's not for everyone. From your experience, who should not study abroad?
I think a few people, I think you should not come and study abroad if you're thinking, wow, you'll get the next big job opportunity. And that is the reason that you want to move here. Getting job is hard. It is not in India. Traditionally, companies come to colleges and recruit directly people from there. It doesn't happen in the US. It is unheard of. So don't come here thinking, oh, I'll just get a job and I'll become a citizen. The lines for immigrant students are the longest when they have to get H-1B, that is their work visa. There's a lottery system and there are a limited number of positions, and there's a long line to get your green card. So think it over. Just take that decision very, very seriously. The last thing is, if you're spending all your money, all your savings, that's not a good thing. Don't let this be your only bet that you're making in your life. I would say just take a moment, get back, and just think about why you are doing this. Education is great everywhere. Like, I know of colleges in India that have phenomenal education. So if it is the quality of education, then I think you can get into some great colleges in India as well. So think about that. And lastly, if you do not have a network or a family and you really need that as a support system, this is going to be a hard place to live. So make sure that you're resilient and independent. You are able to do your own dishes and laundry and all of that and make food because you'll have to do that here. There is no help.
Okay, thank you so much for coming today for today's podcast. It was an amazing story. Guys, for everyone who's been listening, check out our app and see where do you qualify to study. And most importantly, visit the links about Arjita's companies and new founder school if that's the journey you want to pursue, because being a founder, it is not for everyone, but it's freaking amazing. And Arjita is a perfect mentor if you want to start building your company. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, Arjita. Thank you.